Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. So I'll go through the course content first, and then we will start this session. And I'll let me
Yeah,
tell
sure.
you what we have in this course.
Sure. Go on.
Just a minute, let me share my screen.
Vicky, a small question because most of the people are asking me at the different platform, so they can understand GTM before, like, without LTM, or they have to learn LTM first.
No, it's not necessary.
Mm-hmm.
If you know LTM and have GTM both, it's a
Mm-hmm.
great combination. But it's not necessary that you need to have to know LTM. It's totally a different technology. You can
Okay.
work, you can set up LTM with GTM or without it. It's not
Oh,
necessary. It's
fine.
totally different.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you can share your screen.
Yeah. Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yes, correct. It's visible now.
Okay, great. So let's start. So my name is Vicky Kumar. You can call me Vicky, and I'll be your instructor for this course. I have carefully designed this course for to cover basic topic as well as advanced topics so that anyone having less knowledge or no knowledge about GTM DNS that should also they can also understand and implement these learnings to their day-to-day work and enhance their skills. Okay. Um, on high level, what are topics we will cover in this complete course will be this one: DNS overview. This will give you a brief idea how DNS work, what type of records they have, what are zone file, and DNS terminology. Why we need DNS? Because GTM is totally based on DNS technology. So we have to have good understanding of DNS first. Then we'll be having labs as well with the course theoretical part in each section, so that is it will be easy to you for you guys to understand the concept and implement it. Then we'll set up a GTA initial setup. We'll do the initial setup. Then I'll introduce you to the GTM. Then we'll configure some basic stuff on GTM, DNS records. Then what are the load balancing methods we have in GTMs, dynamic, static, topology. Then GTM objects. What are the different objects in GTM? What basically we have, it's like LTM. It's like so different objects means what are the configuration and objects need to create and then tie up into one to make it work. Then also, as you see, we have labs in each section, so it will be like once we with the theoretical knowledge, we'll get the practical knowledge as well. And of course, like in each section, anywhere you guys have any doubt, we can clarify over there. The monitors, what are monitors we have on GTM? What are health, it's basically health checks to monitor the service on backend servers. What type of servers? What type like LTM or non-LTM? There are different ways. We'll configure as well and give you the introduction to that. Then we'll cover some advanced topics as well: DNS cache, express, DNS security, zone runner, iQuery, iRules, some basic iRules, not advanced, which is helpful in securing this DNS setup. In GTM high availability, like what are the various ways of implementing GTM in HA within data center or within uh, two different data centers, separate data center globally. in troubleshooting. Mm-hmm. Question. Then troubleshooting tools we can use for troubleshooting DNS issues related to GTM issues related to DNS query. Then deployment scenario, some automation stuff basically to automate GTM configuration using REST API and Python. Then logging and monitoring. These all modules will be covered in this GTM learning course. Okay, any question? Okay. If not, can we go through the today's session? Gaurav? Mm-hmm. Okay. And Gaurav, are we good to go ahead? Or you want me to pause? Can you please mute everyone who are not speaking? Okay, let's start then. So what is GTM exactly? What is GTM? Why we call this GTM or GSLB or new term in F5? It's DNS. DNS we already know it's a protocol, but F5 also calling GTM as DNS nowadays. So don't get confused. That's why I have mentioned it as a GTM to avoid any confusion. So what GTM is, it's like it's a GSLB. What GSLB means basically you can load balance your traffic between your data centers, global server load balancing. In normal load balancing scenario, you can load balance your traffic within the data center between the servers. But with GSLB, you have a benefit. You can distribute your traffic between different data center as well as you can maintain high availability. You can load balance equally or as you wish. It also provides you a benefit to control your traffic on the basis of source address, source region, from where client is coming, and s- there are there are different methods to control that uh, load balancing algorithms. What are the benefits GTM provides? It's like first of all, how GTM works. GTM is not like it does not like work like normal load balancer where you have one IP and on the back end you have different servers which act as a reverse proxy. You send it out, you make request to WIP and then it further forwarded to the backend server. It's not like GTM. GTM does not work like that. GTM is kind of an intelligent DNS server. GTM or GSLV it works on DNS. It's totally DNS based technology solution. So that's why you can load balance the traffic on the basis on different data center because it works on DNS. I'll tell you how you can do that and how it works and what are the way. We'll discuss in details. Okay,
Sir,
it's more
hello.
on high level. Yeah. Yeah.
Sir, it's a GTM. GTM is a software or it's a load balance name is
GTM is the module of F5. So when we
model
call
of F5 load balancer.
F5 load balancing,
Yes, sir.
GSLB is the terminology. GSLB is the technology.
GSL is technology, sir.
GSLB is technology, like
Yes, sir.
load balancer is technology,
Yes,
and
sir.
GTM is a F5 product, like F5 have LTM. So that's
Yes, sir.
yeah,
Sir,
okay.
why we name use a F5 load balancer? It's a multi. the basic is F5 or its other name, sir?
Uh, F5 load balancers, F5 basically F5 is a company, okay, and
Yes, sir.
F5 have different products, and but
F5. Yes, sir.
they have different products, LTM, ASM, APM, multiple modules. They call as a big IP,
Yes,
F5
sir.
big IP, LTM, big
Yes,
GTM
sir.
and all. So these GTM, LTM, ASM are the modules name,
Yes,
okay,
sir. Yes,
and
sir.
under that module, the technology being used is for LTM, it's load balance.
Yes, sir.
When you hear load balance, it means it load balance traffic locally.
Yes, sir.
When I say locally, means within the data center, you can have 5, 10, 20 servers. It can load balance traffic between them. But
Yes,
when
sir.
you hear GSLB, which is global server load balancer, you mean it means you can even load balance traffic between your data center,
Yes, sir.
different data center. One is north, one is south. You can load balance traffic. So GSLB and LB is a term, is a technology
Yes,
which
sir.
LTM is using. Basically, if you go and purchase F5, LTM is for load balancing, GTM is for GSLB feature.
Yes, sir.
Similarly, you can get any of all the vendor, but whatever their module name is, but the underlying
Sir,
technology is the
in
same.
present, in currently which load balancer which we use in matlab in means we have a bit in like a Google company, like they have all they have very much good traffic. Uh,
Hmm.
so which load balancer they use nowadays?
No, it all totally depends on the company. I can comment on that, but F5 is definitely a market leader in this.
Yes, sir. F5 is a market leader,
Yeah,
like Palo Alto firewall.
yeah, exactly. So some like Cisco, once upon a time it was only Cisco,
Yes, sir.
but in firewall you have Palo Alto in
But the
F5, and then
Cisco develops the Cisco umbrella, sir.
mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Nowadays, Cisco develops Cisco Umbrella, which is a also firewall.
Yeah, yeah, I heard about that. And Cisco do not have anything for GSLV and LTM. They have earlier some ACE technology, but they discontinued. So
Okay, sir.
F5 is like a market leader, and if you like, it's like if you want to learn networking, you can do CCNA. If you want
Yes,
to
sir.
learn
Yes, sir. Yes,
LTM,
sir. Yes,
yeah,
sir. I
that's
had
the
done.
reason. Yeah,
Yes, sir. I had done CCN and
yeah.
CCNP,
So
sir.
it's similar like that. If you want to learn LTM, you can. If you learn F5 LTM, you will get understanding of the technology.
Yes, sir.
It means you can work on any other vendor. It's not like
Yes,
you
sir.
only need to work on F5.
But the
That's
sir,
it.
but the sir, market demands like sir, actually market demands load balancer and firewall experience, sir.
Yeah, in my yeah, load balancer, firewall, and nowadays this GTM also in demand
Yes, sir.
because
And
um
SD-WAN.
yeah, SD-WAN.
Yes, sir.
So these are different. Okay, coming back to the topic. So as I said, what are the key feature GTM provide is like it's intelligent. It's work as a DNS server, typical DNS server, but it's more intelligent DNS server, which give you the answer
Sir,
of the DNS query on the yeah.
sir, are you sharing your screen? Because I am seeing only black color screen.
No,
Any
it's visible to me.
Okay.
visible? Huh?
Yeah, visible.
And then yeah, just
I'll
try
leave
to
and connect once again,
yeah, just
please.
try to reconnect maybe. Okay. So it's basically GTM is it's an advanced DNS server which have several features and capability which make it different to the from the traditional DNS servers. What are the features as we can you can control traffic distribution on the basis of multiple what to say, multiple ways dynamically and statically as we want. Then we have there is a feature of health monitor, like in LTM case. GTM do check the health of the backend server, and as per the like, it do regularly check the health of backend server and accordingly decide whether you want that server needs to be exposed to the user or not. So it will basically reduce the downtime for the user and make the overall accessibility, over application accessibility higher. Okay. Traditional DNS server was all only be able to do the round robin, but we have multiple mechanism to load balance the traffic and basically increase the performance and utilization. We also have a reporting, good reporting and logging. We can identify, we can basically get the visibility of the overall utilization and performance of the system, backend systems. GTM can provide you the persistency. Basically, we can have a persistent record. It's like one client is coming from this system, get to this record, and it's always be getting the same record. Persistence is something like you stick some client to some server. It is basically to maintain the session that some application required you to maintain the session. Otherwise, like if server is one request is going to server one is going to server two, if you do not maintain the persistency, session can get log out if the request landed to server two and one. Or like if so first request land to server one and second to server two, it may break the session. So some application require persistency that also we can like GTM can provide you. Okay. What are the advantage of learning GTM? So as you know, we have GTM is like there are out of the box and industry standard feature GTM provide today's day, and it's very much necessary for the business to have solution like GTM. So when you learn about GTM, it's basically when you increase, so you will once you learn about the GTM, you will be able to apply these skills in your day-to-day business and help your business to grow on personal level also nowadays many companies required person and having knowledge of GTM. Earlier it was only LTM. Now it nowadays like GTM plus LTM. So that's why it's very important to have your understanding of GTM. GTM, GSLB, you can call it any name. I don't prefer any vendor. For my personal view, you should learn the technology, not the vendor specific technology. That will help you in long run. Okay. So just learn about the technology. Today is F5, tomorrow it's something else. But if you know the technology, you can work anywhere. What are the features you have? It's like enhanced traffic management. F5 provide you advanced load balancing and traffic distribution across data center and server. So this ensure you the optimal resource utilization and high maintain the high availability of the application. This is like an enhanced traffic management. You can manage traffic to within your data center, within or outside of your data center, between multiple data center. Then you have disaster recovery. You can implement GTM for your disaster recovery. For example, nowadays companies work on DR and DC's kind of setup in these. So if your DC is down, GTM can help you to switch over to the your DR without any downtime, without any manual effort and downtime. Global load balancing, as I said, GSLV is a feature of GTM. It's basically you can load balance traffic between your data center. So you can either use GTM for DRDC setup or for load balancing. It's totally depend on the setup. Some uh, some companies like want they only want until unless they have DC active, all traffic should go to DC. And once something failure, any failure in DC, then only it goes to DER. You can have that as well. Or some company, if they ask they want to equally load balance traffic, that also you can do with the help of GTM. It improves the user experience because since it's have a capability of monitor the backend service. So if the backend service is down, it will mark it down by itself and user won't be connecting on that backend server which is down. So it will improve the user experience with minimum or no downtime. And security aside, security enhancement, GTM also provides some security capability like DNS security. DNSSEC is a feature of GTM, which protect you from the DNS spoofing and other attacks. So when I say DNSSEC, it's a feature of F5 GTM. Okay. Scalability, when we say scalability, is like today you have two servers within your data center. Now, tomorrow you want to increase your server capacity or increase your number of server. It is easy to do that, and you just need to add it in the DNS configuration. You don't need to do much changes everywhere to do that. So it's like you can scale from as per your need, provide you the flexibility for your scalability, provide you the option. In GTM allow you the as so integration with other products is like you can integrate it with F5 LTM. It's a good combination when you have GTM with LTM, but it's not limited. You can or you cannot. If you do not have LTM, that's fine. You can only have GTM and integrate it with your backend server directly. But when you integrate with LTM, it provides some other benefit like iQuery and some iQuery based health check. What does it means? Like in if F5 VIP goes down, it will automatically send a message to the GTM that my VIP has been down. So it's kind of that integration they have between F5 and GTM. Same because both are from same family. In compliance and reporting, you can get reports and what are all the about the user data and queries and all that. So it depends on the requirement. You can have that reporting as well from the GTM. Professional growth, as I said, nowadays this is being popular. This is being a mandatory for the company to have technology like GTM. So it always help you to grow personally when you know about something which is in demand in the market. Okay. Okay. So first, next I will go through how the DNS work. You guys might already know, but I just want to refresh because this GSLV and GTM is totally based on DNS technology. So we need to understand that. How DNS work? Any question till now, guys? Let me know. Feel free to
Yeah,
interrupt me.
can you go to the previous slide once?
Hmm. Yep.
Uh, Here you mentioned like traditional DNS server load balance, right? Round robin does not have mechanism to check the utilization and performance.
Hmm.
So what does it mean? So round robin is something like they are just distributing the traffic amongst the servers, backend servers, right? So
Yeah, in all in traditional DNS server, it's like you can have a same record pointing to multiple IPs. You can make that record in DNS server. I'm not talking about GTM, it's a normal DNS server. Okay. What does it means? Like what did DNS do is like whenever a user requests for a DNS record and if have multiple DNS record, then it send all the records to the client. Now client have to decide which one you want to connect, but there
oh,
was no mechanism for the DNS server to check actual health of that server, which is exposing to the client. So client might get IP of the server which is already down. That was the issue with the traditional server. That's why you need a technology like GTM, GSLV. There
okay.
was no
One IP with
mechanism.
different interests. Yeah, got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was no mechanism to check the health check of backend system or utilization or like that.
Hmm.
That we get from GTM. Okay,
Got it. Got it. Got it. Thank you.
yeah, no problem. Thank you. Okay, let's try how DNS works. I'll start with some basic setup. Simple domain. User want to access www.domain.com. User send query to the LDNS. LDNS is local DNS server. Then LDNS, if the LDNS do not have that record, that have any information about that record in cache, it will further send it to the root servers, which are like root DNS server. Then from root DNS server, it will get right. So if it is a .com server, go to .com server. Then LDNS will go to .com server. From .com server, it will get the authoritative DNS, authority server name of for that domain. So which NS basically name server record, which is basically the server which owns this domain. Whoever is basically authorized DNS server for this domain, company provided. On that DNS server, LDN one first a request go to root DNS server, then .com server. From .com, it get the information about authoritative DNS server. Then from the LDNS will go to authority DNS server, ask for this resolution of this domain. Then this server resolve it to the IP. The LDNS will pass this IP to the client, and then client will access this from his machine. On backend, it's basically when we access this domain, it's backend, its communication is happening on the IP. That's very
Earphone से
important.
रहा earphone से क्या हुआ
Any question, guys?
हाँ
Can you please mute yourself if there is no query? Okay, let me do that. So this is how normal DNS work. Okay. Okay. So there is we are talking about a record, a simple DNS pointing to the IP. Then we have another mechanism, another type of record in DNS, which is delegation. Delegation means root server is assigning that authority to something else, and then LDNS has to go to that server. I'll show you how it works. So LDNS and request, LDNS want to resolve, client want to resolve to www.company.com, and request goes to LDNS. LDNS want to, LDNS know that who is the authoritative DNS server for this www.company.com, request goes to this server. And then instead of resolving this to the IP, this server tell this LDNS that we have a delegation for this domain, which is a CNAME record pointing to this. And it means now LDNS have to go to the server which owns this domain. Request go to this, and then from there it gets the IP and then give it to the client. Why this is important? Because GTM work, there is a way, but most commonly GTM work on this technology, delegation. There are different way to implement DNS, but GTM, but this is the most common and way of implementing GTM in your environment.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, could you please explain again CNAME and the delegation? I couldn't get it.
Okay. So what CNAME is basically, for example, client want to access www.company.com. Okay. Now he want we want DNS resolution for this company.com. Request will go to LDNS. Now LDNS have to resolve this to company.com to the client. Now LDNS will send request to the server which are authority for company.com. Like this is the server. Okay. Now the thing is, instead of resolving this to IP, this server tells the LDNS that I have a CNAME record for this, CNAME this, which means now LDNS has to search for the who is the owner of this subdomain subzone, and then get the IP from that DNS server. So they both are DNS server, but it's like request first come to this server. This server, instead of resolving directly, it says go to this server. It's a pointer record or NS record or CNAME record. It's basically, instead of resolving itself, it says go to this server. Now this server is the one who will resolve the query. Okay. Does it clarify your question? So
Yeah.
CNAME is like pointing this to something else instead. So one, you have like two common records, two kind of DNS records are very common. One is a record, which means domain resolved to IP directly, and
In what
second is
cases?
CNAME. Yeah.
In what cases it has to point to other server instead of resolving itself?
So that's what, like, I'll go through when we go through the GTM, you will understand. But in some of the cases, like, let's suppose earlier company.com was resolving to an IP, to one IP, and he was the owner, and it was hosted in the local. Let me open the notepad. Okay. So let's suppose this is a company, okay, and this is another company or another data center or a third party vendor. Okay. Earlier, there was this server basically on which user wants to connect was hosted over here. Okay. And request was coming to this server. This server resolved to this IP, and then user connect to this IP. Okay. Now this service has been moved to cloud or third party or SaaS, which is very commonly being used today. Okay. Now, in he don't know like what is the IP of this server. It might have multiple IPs. It might have one IP, but it's totally depend on this guy, this third party vendor. Now, how user will forward it request to this, because you user don't know, like, you have moved your service to some other vendor or third party vendor or SaaS. User still know the company.com. You don't want to ask user connect directly to this, because it's like you are hiding identity as well. User only knows this. Otherwise, user will know what is it hosted on. So that's where the case you will use. I'm talking about a normal scenario where you do not have GTM. Okay, this is normal DNS concept. GTM I'll introduce it later. We'll tell you why we need. But I want you to understand the concept. Okay. Now, a request come to this server. This server say for this domain there is a CNAME record which is this. Okay. Now, when the LDNS get the CNAME record, it will go through the all the way like root server, .com server, authority server, like same setup. Root server, then .com, and then it basically knows that now I have to resolve this thing. I got it from this server. Now I have to resolve this. It will follow all the process, root server, .com server, authority server, and then when finally LDNS will reach out to this server will give the answer to the query. Client will only see if you do NS lookup or something on the client, then only you will see that you have www.company.com pointing to this. But on browser, user will still think this is the domain. Okay, on back end it's resolving to something else, but on front end user don't know, like it's resolving something. It's still the company.com. Now it's like whatever IP is dynamic, multiple IP, whatever IP being managed is managed by this third party provider. This company setup, this company guys do not need to worry about the IPs. That's idea. Like that's the one use case where we use these kind of records. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay. This is how GLB and delegation zone work. GLB in delegation mode, basically. So let's see the flow, then we will discuss how it works. Request first goes to the again LDNS, then root server, then .com server, then the authority server, which is the company server. Now this is like the previous example. Instead of resolving to something else, the server say go to this domain. It's like a CNAME record. Okay. And request. So basically like previous example, as we discussed, instead of resolving itself, it says it's given a CNAME record, which is www.gtm.company.com. Now, what LDNS will do, it basically now go to the authority or the server of this domain, which is a GTM in our case. So now LDNS will go to GTM to resolve this domain. Basically, it's he wanted to resolve this thing, but now he got to know from authority server that you have to resolve this domain name to get it this company.com name. Then LDNS go to GTM, and now GTM comes in picture. GTM will check as per your logic, as per your algorithm, as per the health check of the server, and then it will resolve it to the IP. In earlier scenario where you do not have GTM, server directly resolved to the IP. But in this scenario where you have GTM, GTM will apply all set of logic you have, and then it will resolve it to the IP, and then Linux will get the IP and pass it to the server, to the client. This is how this is an example of this delegation configuration. So this is first thing, like this is where you do not have delegation. It's simple. www.company.com resolved to one IP. Simple, that simple thing. No health check, nothing, no intelligence, normal DNS record. This is example where you have delegation. Company record goes to for the company.com, you get an NS record for with this thing for which is pointing to GTM. Then go to GTM, resolve to these IP, these are the GTM IP, and then company record get CNAME of GTM, and GTM is basically giving you this record on the basis of backend logic. Okay, now you understand how
Can you
why we need
explain it again? The
yeah,
previous one, the previous.
which one? This one?
Yeah, this one, this one.
Okay, this is the next one actually. Okay. Yeah. So this is like when you do NS lookup from your machine to company.com, you get this IP. It's all sorted out, no delegation, nothing. This is a
Yeah, this is
simple
simple
DNS.
DNS entry. Okay.
Okay. Now when you have delegation and GTM in place, how it works? When you do NS lookup, you instead of getting a record, you get this NS record, which means pointer record, which means for this, go to this. In simple ways, basically, if you want to resolve www.company.com, go to GTM.
And
Now,
figured earlier somewhere like if we will
yeah, this step, this thing, like uh, apart from last line, everything is happening on the authority DNS server.
okay, okay.
This
So,
this this we
so this is
configure on
setup
DNS server.
we have done for company.com, right?
Yeah,
So we have two different sorry servers behind that DNS.
yeah.
Okay.
It was a DNS server, normal DNS server. This is also a DNS server. Okay, this thing. This, if you see this, this is coming from GTM.
Yeah, yeah. This got it, got
Okay,
it.
this is the final record LDNS want, and this final record is coming from GTM on the basis of logic we have applied and health check whatever we have
So any
applied.
server, suppose any server dot 53 or dot 54 is down, then still they have one option, right? Rollback.
Uh, if your DNS server is down, yeah, uh,
Sir,
for high
sir,
availability, it's like two GTM. Yeah,
hello, sir.
yeah, yeah.
Sir, GTM to do dot web dot domain dot com is INA and 150. Why we use 150 and when we use www.company.com it's INA 200 dot 10 dot 10 dot.
These are the GTM. Basically, these all records are for you want. It's basically these records are mandatory. It's like these are telling LDNS, I don't know the name, I don't know where .com is pointing to, but I know who can provide you the answer.
Yes, sir.
That is GTM. So for high availability, we have, let's suppose we have two GTM in place. So these are the records. It gives you two records. Go to either of the GTM. These GTM are in sync. So if
Is the
you have,
same in every, sir? Is the same in every? I mean, first you use the 200, and then after use
no,
150.
no, 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 it's not like that. It's like around, it's like when DNS give you two records, it's up to you where you want to connect. It's like it will try to connect on both, so that if one of the GTM is down, you still get the resolution. It's not like it will go to a 53 and it will not go to 54. It's like uh, from the client perspective, if I go to previous slide,
So we can take any other random.
yeah,
Uh,
from client perspective, like for example, it says go to a GTM one, but let's suppose you have one more GTM over here for a high redundancy. Okay, and it says like go to you get two records for GTM. You get two names over record. Now LDNS is like if it get two record, it's not like that it will try to connect to this only this one, because let's suppose you get the two records. DNS don't know if my GTM is still alive. Let's suppose this is down, then your service will be down. So it's like if DNS gives some records, give two records, then the DNS will try on both. It will send request on both at the same time. But since these GTM are in sync, we have we have implemented this in HA. The configuration are in sync, health check are in sync. So whether request go to this or this, they both will respond, and whatever respond is basically LDNS will get from it will whatever like it will get both the request. I mean, now it's up to LDNS who you want to prefer. But ultimately the record will be the same because both are in configuration and sync. So this is the setup where you have two GTMs for a high availability. We are talking about where you have GTM failure, high availability for the GTM itself. That's why we have these two records over there.
Two records. So there might be some mechanism, right, for load balancing, like round robin on session base or last hit, least
That's what I'm saying.
connection.
LDNS is like its work on kind of a round robin and then wait for some time, like
Hmm.
some timeout. If we do not get response, it will try. It's up to LDNS how it want to. It's like if a name
Okay.
server given two records, which is two name server, which two DNS server, it will send query to one DNS server at the back end and wait for some milliseconds. And if do not get response, send it to second one. And at least from both, one should be up, then only get the response.
Yeah, and those two servers, what we have in Redis, so those are separated DC, right? Separate DC. So
Yeah,
because
you
this is
can, yeah,
GSLV,
exactly. You can have that like that. You can have like this GTM in separate DC,
okay.
and you can have still you can have configuration sync between these GTMs. This is TC1, this is TC2, like that. So this
Hmm.
you can still have configuration sync. That's where you can have a full DRDC
what
setup.
about
Okay. 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 Vicky, got it.
that?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I'm gonna have power. Actually, webinar. Apa ini bukan apa cai?
Okay. Let's go to next slide. This is we already discussed. Okay. This is how this was the concept. Okay. Now we'll see how it works. So as I said, client send request to LDNS send request to GTM. Now GTM have that pool at backend and where you have server, and it see that server one is down, then it will respond to with the server 2 IP. So there comes the GTM. GTM logic and health check. It identify that this server is down, so it will resolve DNS query to this IP.
Mhm.
In normal, if you do not have GTM, client will get both the IPs. That's where the difference GTM brings.
Got it.
Alright. That's where you have GTM. Uh, like user will connect to the server which is up and then get the answer. There is another setup. Earlier we discussed is like GNS in GTM in delegation mode. You can also make GTM as authoritative DNS server. Like in this scenario, request first come to this server. This is your main authoritative server. This tell you that go to GTM. In another way, you can make your GTM as a main DNS server, authoritative DNS server. You can host your zones over there. How it
So,
works?
so
Mhm.
authoritative will be faster, I think.
It will be faster, but it's like you are getting requests for every DNS query for your
Yeah,
company on
load will be,
GTM.
yeah,
Load, yeah,
load
load
will.
will be high. Whether it whether it's like whether it is for GTM or not, you're getting every request. Now
Correct.
GTM will forward to company server. It's like a vice versa. Earlier,
Mm,
like let's suppose you have 10 zones and you have only hosted two zones on GTM. In earlier setup, these out of this request will get from the client for all 10 zone requests will come to this server. Now this
mm,
server will see I have two zones hosted on GTM. For that, I will respond with GTM. For other
mm,
eight, I will respond directly with my IP. Okay. Because GTM have that functionality which I needed for that zone. Maybe that are critical or one, that application.
oh,
But in
yeah,
this
yeah.
scenario, let's suppose you have 10 zone, you hosted two zone on GTM. It's like for all 10 zone requests will first come to GTM, and then GTM will see if that what all zones I have to like answer it myself, and for other eight I will send it. I will ask LDNS to go to my company server. It's like a vice versa, but it is good for your security because DNS have DNS sec feature which normal DNS server do not have, but it will increase the load on your GTM.
Yeah, yeah. Unnecessary load of other zones as well.
Yeah, for other zones as well. So it's totally depend how you want to implement, depend on the requirement, security features, security posture, and criticality of the application. So
So
this is how it works.
do we have a option to filter those traffic? What traffic should be passing through our GTM or LTM?
So
Earlier,
for
you in the first slide you told like
yeah,
we can
for
filter with the source. What
yes,
source it should be?
no, you can filter with the sources like let's suppose your server is up.
Hmm.
We have both server is up. What you can filter is like let's suppose I have let me open my slide. I have one client sitting in US. Okay, this is in US. This is in AP region. Okay. So I want this is my US server. This is my AP server. I'm talking about this complete different data center. This is your data center. This is AP data center, and this server GTM is in AP, and you can have one more in US for load for high availability. Okay. Now you want my AP users always get requests from AP side. That logic you can apply on GTM. So when requests will come from AP side, GTM maintains some geological IP database, which basically tells you that public IP belongs to which region. There are some three or four databases where you can get information of your IP, public IP, where it belongs to. So when requests will come to GTM, GTM will see what is the public source IP, source public IP of the client, source IP of the client, public IP. Okay. And on the basis of that, GTM will know that the request is coming from AP. And as per the logic, if it is AP, I will answer it with my AP server IP. Similar thing with the US. US might get this thing, but logic is same. It will check what is the source IP, and then on the basis of that, it can make the decision. Uh, I'm talking about where you have the server is still up, okay, but
Hmm.
then this thing is down. And yeah, if it is down, both will
And
get
all
same.
traffic will. Yeah.
Yeah, so go to it. That's what we say about source-based probability.
Okay.
That's what we mean. That's the feature, and it's like when server get when client get your nearest server, it will automatically improve your performance. Okay. Okay, this we already discussed. Like LDNS and request all request to the GTM, and then GTM tell you that if DNS is not expressive, it will check for the, as I said, for security, and it will check any kind of attack being happening. If not, then it will forward the request to the
What is local bind
come.
here?
It's a bind. It's technology, DNS technology.
Bind. Local
Bind
bind.
is, yeah, bind is open source technology for for the DNS. So this also works on that. GTM also work
Okay.
on bind,
Hmm.
and it will forward to the request to the company DNS server and resolve DNS server. In this scenario, basically every request coming to GTM, GTM getting it resolved and then forward to LDNS. So it's acting as a firewall for your DNS, kind of a firewall. These are the feature you get when you apply DNS and GTM in front of your DNS server. DNS Express, security, geolocation, DNSI rules.
Hmm.
These are the main objects of GTM architecture. Basically, objects means configuration or objects which are tied together for GTM to take the decision and to make a decision in answer to the DNS query. What are those? Those are virtual server. It's like a LTM virtual server and IP port. Why it is necessary is basically when you add this thing, server and port, GTM know you can also apply health monitor on that. So now basically GTM can do health check on that server and port. It's more of an advanced health check like TCP or HTTP to make the decision if the backend server is up or down. Then real server is the server where you have that virtual server. For example, if it in case of LTM itself IP is a real server IP, and then virtual server is a virtual server of LTM. In case of normal server, generic server where you do not have LTM at backend, it is very simple. The server on which you are pointing is the real server as well as the virtual server. Standalone server is like you can have in generic in normal scenario it will be only standalone, but in case of LTM you can have a pair of LTM.
But here,
These
standalone, what does it mean? So if we have one server, where
standalone
is the
means
load balance?
y- no, here standalone means the server you are adding, it's like, let's suppose you have two servers. We'll talk about two servers, okay, two backend servers. You want to load balance the traffic. This is one, this is two. I'm talking about GTM objects configuration thing, okay. In configuration, you need to add a server. It's a configuration part. So when you add server, So basically, you have to add both as a server. So when you add server, it give you the option. It's a standalone or a pair. Normally, it's a standalone. Pair means where you have you. It means these are not server. These are LTMs, which is in running in active basis.
Okay, okay.
There, then you can have like it's not a standalone. It's a pair HA.
Yeah, yeah, got it.
So it will basically know it will it's like a feature of iQuery between GTM and LTM. It knows who is the active one and who he need to point it for that virtual server. But in case of normal server, like suppose this is the normal server without LTM, it's a standalone. But it doesn't mean that standalone for the user. You can have multiple server as standard. It's just like terminology. When we go through that, we will understand. Okay. See, server objects have multiple. Now you can have like LTM may have multiple virtual servers. So it's like you can add multiple virtual server in same server. So server is a physical box. Virtual server, take it as like server is physical box and virtual server is the service running on that server. Okay. So we create pool. Pool is basically a set of virtual servers on which you want to make the request. So let's suppose you have so see you have three data centers. Good example. You have three data center, primary, secondary, and disaster recovery. You mean it means request should go load balance to primary and secondary, and if both goes down, then only request go to the this DC server, DC thing. You can add a pool and add all the three server in that pool, and then you need to add a wide IP. Wide IP is the basically a FQDN, which it's like in case of LTM, you attach your pool with the web virtual server. In case of GTM, you attach that pool with your wide IP. And wide IP is like FQDN. So in this example, www.f5.com is a wide IP. And then you have pool which have three virtual server attached with your wide IP. So whenever a user will request for www.f5.com, GTM will check what is the algorithm and what are the health check of the server. Accordingly, it will respond with the IP to the client.
Okay, and what will be the, I mean,
Yeah.
actual IP of f5.com? What
This
user
these
will
uh,
get?
these three, the virtual server.
Okay, any of these three, right? According to
Yeah,
the,
yeah. According to the algorithm, like if you have a round robin, then it can be any of them. Okay. So
so
if you have,
DNS entry for www.f5.com should be only one, right? Or
yeah,
it can,
wide IP will be one. Wide IP will be one, but you have multiple virtual servers. So it's like
so
if all these three
user will
servers
hit on wide
have
IP, right?
f5.com,
Not on the,
yeah, exactly. So user will hit on f5.com on back end LDNS, their user LDNS will resolve it to some of one of these IP, these three IP. And what
oh,
GTM pool is doing, basically doing health check on these ports on
okay,
port 80.
okay.
And if this is down, then user will won't get this IP. It will between two of them.
Hmm.
So that's how it works. So you can have this is round robin, the simple one. You can have other load balancing methods. There are multiple load balancing methods and health check. You can have advanced health checks. On the basis of that, wide IP decide which IP I need to forward, which IP I need to respond with. Then
Hmm.
the user will connect directly to, to that IP, whatever it gets. Okay. That's it for now. Let me know if you have any query, question, suggestion. Hope this
Uh,
is helpful for you.
Hello, VK.
Yeah.
Where are the nodes come into this picture in this GTM? Nodes.
There is no concept of nodes in GTM. That is in LTM. In GTM, it's you call it as servers, or kind of a same, but it's not same. As I explained, server is a physical box, and on server you have virtual servers. So node is not in GTM. It's not a GTM terminology, but kind of a same thing because the node is like a backend server, right?
Okay.
And in GTM, your server is your backend server, but that is physical, and it's your virtual server, which is virtual server is the one the user will get. The IP of the virtual server is user will be getting, but this virtual server is hosted on some box. That is the server. Kind of the same thing, but not exactly same. So don't get confused.
Okay. GTM manages only DNS traffic or any
Yeah,
application traffic.
GTM is only for the DNS. GTM only works on DNS. GTM GSLB is totally dependent on the DNS. You cannot have wide IP with IP. That is not possible. So this terminology, this technology works on DNS. That's why you
O-
have to have good understanding of these DNS
Okay.
concepts.
Which device manages the WAN traffic or any IP coming to our network?
That is like from over this GTM, you can have firewall or whatever routing device you can have. You can have firewall above this GTM, which can filter out like for DNS requests, it will only go to GTM listener IPs. So GTM is acting as a DNS server, advanced intelligent DNS server. On top of that, you need to have your routing and firewall and whatever if you want to implement like, as an extra layer of security.
So, Vicky, can you draw a little? I mean, how is the architecture like? Where we have WIP, where we have GTM pool, how request goes, and like simple thing. So
I'll
suppose I have to explain like we have two backend servers, GTM pool, and we have created one wide IP like that. So
yeah, on a high level I can show you, but I will go in details of each and every objects, and in the lab session you will get more idea and clear understanding. And on
oh,
high level, it's like this is your wide IP. First request will come to the wide IP, which is your FQDN. Okay. Then from the wide IP, you have pool. Okay. This is your pool. Pardon my writing. Then in pool, you have added a virtual server. A server. This is your server. Okay. And in this server, you have virtual server. You can have multiple virtual server as well. So when we say multiple virtual server, it means you can have this is wide IP1, this is wide IP2. I mean, this is example, this is domain.com, totally different. You can have pool. In pool, you basically called a virtual server. So
yeah,
this pool can call this virtual server, we can call this virtual server. This server is kind of an independent thing. You have to add in
yeah,
with
yeah. We can
GTM,
call it. Yeah,
but you can call it like that. So it's like when the request will come from the client DNS to wide IP, it will check it pools, where GTM will check the pools, as the virtual server status in the pool, and what is the logic applied on the pool level, load balancing logic applied. Accordingly, it will GTM will make a decision that, let's suppose it have two servers. This is two. This is also a VS, and they have basically this pool have two virtual server. Then wide IP decide which IP I need to forward to the client. And
Okay.
if there is a round robin, it works like that. First request will come to server one,
Yeah, according to
second one.
algorithm, they will
Yeah,
apply. Okay.
GTM will make a decision and then respond to the dealer's query with that
And
IP.
health monitor, where a health monitor will work
Pool on pool
on
level.
the pool or on the server, virtual server.
On the yeah, you have option to apply it on server as well and on pool as well. But best is to like you can have like ping health check on server level, and then on pool level more specific like HTTP or service based
Suppose
health
one
check.
virtual server goes down, right? So they will
Hmm.
I mean, the connectivity health monitor works between pool and virtual server, or between WIP, or sorry, wide IP and virtual
No,
server.
wide IP or only like pool will do the health check on server, and if the one is down, it will mark it as down. So when wide IP will get the request and have to make decision, it will check pool, and in pool, if one of the server is down, it is out of the scope. Wide IP
Okay, okay.
will
Then
not choose
it's
that.
pool
Pool
responsibility
is
if
the to maintain the health check. Yeah.
yeah,
Wide
okay.
IP will always prefer to pool. Then also you have like in some scenario you can have multiple pools as well, two pools, three pools.
Oh,
So if there is two pools, then you can have like you can apply load balancing logic within the pool or between the pools as well. It's like two layer of load balancing you can apply between pool and then within the pool. You can have that thing.
okay, okay. Got it.
Hello, Vijay.
Yeah.
Can we do certificate management in this GTM for websites?
Certificate management not required because GTM is when you get when the client get DNS resolution,
Hmm.
GTM works done. The actual connection is not terminated on GTM.
Okay.
Yeah, so you don't need certificate because you're not offloading SSL on GTM. That's on LTM side or server side.
Okay. What are, what is the prerequisites to do this course? And
Prerequisite is like you should have a good understanding on DNS. Not there's no such prerequisite. It's like you should have understanding on the basic network stuff, how DNS work, how application work, on the basic things, not very high level. We'll discuss and we'll uh, go in details of each and every technology terminologies.
okay, what are the other vendors in the market for, for GT like functions as GTM?
Other vendors are your there are multiple vendors. Whoever is like the vendors having LTM load balancing, they are also providing GSLP. Like A10, Redware, F5 is the market leader, but you have other one.
Is it only
Even some basic stuff are being provided by AWS as well. AWS Route 53 also provides some basic GSLP kind feature.
virtual appliance or physical
No,
appliance also there?
it's not like virtual or physical. It works as same. There is no difference. It's a difference of the hosting platform, but it's not like it's always depend on how much traffic you are anticipating. And if you are hosting it on virtual environment, virtual server, it has that capacity to serve that load. But whether it's a platform, it's virtual, it's the same. The terminology is the same. Resources you have to decide upon your load, and as well the license. It's a throughput based license.
Okay. So what is the course duration and timings for this course?
Um, Course duration would be let me see on that PDF.
Satish, your camera is on, I think.
So it depends like how we cover. We have 12 modules.